Hello friends, today I'm going to show you how you can add some controls in a table row and that shows something like these radio buttons along with the record data. Okay, so this is coming from the database. So I have this data in the database. Okay, and I'm fetching this data using Ajax, and we also have radio buttons on the front section or on the first column of these rows. Okay, so let's go ahead and check how we can add these column along with these controls in the table. Okay, okay, going ahead to our program. So the design, the bootstrap table with four five columns in it, and then we have a T body which has an ID and a name. So mostly it should be the ID which helps us to connect. Um, and then we go ahead to the Ajax call. This is the get all button which is getting us the data. So if we have a look again and if I try to get the data, I click on that and it's giving me back this data. Okay, and then we tap on the radio buttons and then it's a function which is working. So if you want to have a look at this, you can have this. You can have a view of this. So it's in the get all function. I'm calling the get data function, and the get all has an Ajax call, which is calling a URL that is an API, and the content type is JSON. If it's a success, then the response. If the response length is 0, then it will alert that there is no data in it. And if it's not 0, then it will try to bind that information into it. Okay. So let's see how is it binding those information. So $.each, it's for each row, and std tbl body is the table body. If we go back and look at the table body here, this is the table body, and I'm using an append. So we have trtd, and the input type is a radio, so id is rd1. ID and name, I'm using the same thing. The value is the id of that row, and we have used a group. Okay, a radio button works on a group, so we used a group. Then the id is also there in the hidden. I have passed the id as a hidden parameter as well. And then you can see that we are passing on the student's name, the age, the address, and the last column which has an edit or delete. These we can fix up with ahrefs, and then send it the url to send it to a next page for the edit and delete. Okay, so what we are doing for the radio button, well, you can see that we are using an input type equals to radio, and the id and the value with this thing. Okay, now what happens if we tap on the radio button? Well, you can see that these are so many things I have created for the radio button, but none of them worked. So this is the one which works. Okay, this is the one which works. Okay, I tried this thing to change a text, but it didn't work. So I used this alert radio. What you can do here is, if you want to do something, you can have an Ajax function called from here. So when you're tapping on the uh, radio button, this is the function which gets fired, and if you want to call an Ajax function, you can call it from here. Okay, so document dot on, click name of the radio button, or the id of the radio button, and the function which the function value which you called on the click event. Okay, so if I want to change anything here, uh, let's say instead of having the radio buttons, if I want to have text boxes or like links in it, let's first check with link. So I would be removing this one. I can put in a link. Now to stop one more error, let's comment this one out. Because if you have errors in your jQuery, some functions won't work. Rerunning the application. Getting the data. Now we see all the links. Let's go ahead and do an inspect and see if there is any error. No errors as of now. Debugger. The link works. Okay. Okay. So this is how, if you have a link and if you want to put in there, if you want to put some functions in here, you can also put that in here, and it should be good. So this is how, if you want to add a link and you want to run um, fire an event from the link, then you can put this inside the link function. Okay, now if you want to test it with a button, so I'm just helping out with different options. Okay, let's go ahead and take it with the different with buttons. So in order to change it to buttons, let's make changes here. We also comment out the, you see this is the link function. Okay, so let's just comment out, because it will try to search for A's and it will not find, it will throw an error. So where we have the td and the slash td, let's add the input type equals to button. Okay, so you can have a look at this, what we did. We have an input type equals to button, id we gave it, name you may or may not, id is there. We have a text value. Okay, so it could be the value which can be changed. It shows up the text on the button. Let's see if it's btn or button. Fetching the data from the database. Okay, so it's the value which is displayed on the button text, not the text. So this text doesn't show up, it's the value. So it's the value what you put in there that is shown up on the text of the button. Now let's see what works here. If I tap on the button, it's going to do some, let's see if we have any errors. No errors as of now. Tapping on the button takes us to the document.onClick. #ibtn. This is the ID of the button, and it's going to change the value of the button and alert us something. Input new text. You can see that it's changed. Now, going ahead, it showed us the alert. We're all good now. Perfect. That went through. Okay, so if you want to make any changes or you want to call an event from a button click, so this is where you are going to make any change. Okay, this is the place where I have this code, so you are going to make any changes from here. Let me show you in the code section. So if you look at this one, let me close the top part. Wait, where is this? The partition. Okay, so here on the button click, document.on click. Okay, the button click, this one didn't work. You see, this one is working. Okay, let's just remove these things. These things hardly works. Some of them work sometimes, some of them doesn't work sometimes. I was just doing some tests, so whichever works, I showed it to you. So I came to a conclusion that this is this is the thing which is working. Okay, and what is that? Even if you want to use a prop also, that works. This dot text, I guess that is not working, but the prop thing is working. So have a look this one. So $this dot val input new text. This is going to change the text on the button. If you want to fire an event or you want to call an Ajax function, you can put it like this. So if you have to use the $.ajax and this thing, you can put it here. Okay, and you want to have anything that you want to call a controller action, you can call it from here. Okay, this will help you out. So that is all for this video. I hope you understood what we went through. If you want a quick recap, I can just show you up. So what we did here is we had blank table, and we called an ajax function to get us the data into the first table, and we have a button which goes with the button click event, and it fires the get function, the get method, and it fetches records from an api, and then it binds it to the table. After we get the table, we why is it not happening? Oh, sorry, I have a debugger there. Now, after fetching this data, we can put in controls on whichever column we want. That's during the runtime. So after we have that data, okay, so I did it twice because I didn't put in a clear. It added twice. The table wasn't cleared and it added twice. Okay, so you can understand, like, if we call the event twice, it's going to add on. Append is the function which is doing this thing. If you want to, if you do not want that, you have to do the clear and then you do an append. First do the clear, then an append. Okay, so and now to fire up these events, you put in the buttons or the controls inside the column, and then uh, give it a name, and depending on that name, you give it a name with an id, and if you want to pass the id of the row id, you can use the hidden, or you can give the value. No, you should give it as a hidden item. Input type equals to hidden as the item ID. Okay, I can show you better in our next video, where I will show you how the item ID is passed to the next response, or to the next Ajax call. Okay, so this video is to show you like how the controls which are created dynamically work inside a table. Okay. All right, guys, that was all for this video. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, stay connected, and happy coding. Thank you.